If you're instructing kids from the sideline in any kind of way, you are potentially putting your kids in a situation that they cannot learn. They become learning disabled. They will not take in the information. They'll actually reject the information, and they can't function. They will fail immediately in the game of soccer or any subject it may be if the influencer, the coach, the teacher, the professor, the parent, if you're trying to influence it or give comments of any kind, feedback of what you do, you're destroying these kids, and I'm going to prove it via video. So there's a video that's produced a long time ago, and apparently not enough people have seen it. You probably haven't seen it. It was on PBS a long time ago, and I'm going to show you it. But before we show you that, I'm going to show you the man that created it. So this is Dr. Richard Lavoie. If you're in education, if you're a teacher, you're probably very familiar with this man. Rick Lavoie has served as an administrator of residential programs for children with special needs since 1972. He holds 3 degrees in special education and has served as an adjunct professor or visiting lecturer at numerous universities, including Syracuse, Harvard, Gondolet, Manhattanville College, University of Alabama, and Georgetown. His numerous national television appearances include CBS Morning Show, Good Morning America, ABC Evening News, and Disney Channel Presents. Rick serves as a consultant on learning disabilities to several agencies and organizations, including Public Broadcasting Services, New York Times, National Center for Learning Disabilities, Girl Scouts of America, Child Magazine, and WIDA. He is a member of the Professional Advisory Board of the Learning Disability Association. Now, his background is amazing, but what's more amazing, he actually does a video production, which we're about to show you, how he actually takes, he'll have an officer, he'll have a lawyer, he'll have teachers, he'll have normal professionals of every industry in there, and he puts them through a series of questions, and the way he uses the tone of his voice and how quick he talks puts them all in the same situation of a learning disabled child. So he did this to get everyone to feel what is it like to be learning disabled. So for you parents and coaches that feel like you got to make jokes and you got to be loud and you have to make comments every time the child does something, or at any age, college, it don't matter. This is for everybody. If you are interjecting, the people hearing it are processing it, and then things can happen. Very few people can handle this kind of pressure, and it's not a good thing, especially for children. You're not allowing development to happen. So, no further ado, let's watch this video real quick, and then we're going to talk about it.
Child and see firsthand the frustration, anxiety, and tension that those children experience in school every day. The rules are very simple. First of all, this is not a role-playing activity. It's what's called simulation. Now, if you don't want to participate in this, if you would prefer to sit this out and you don't want to be called on, if you don't like being embarrassed in front of people and being asked to do things you can't do and being made to feel really uncomfortable, okay? That's tough. Because one of the things that you've got to gain as a parent or a teacher dealing with learning disabled people is this, the idea of problem ownership. You see, the learning disabled child isn't learning disabled just so he can mess up your English class 8th period every day. He's not learning disabled just to complicate your lifestyle at home. He has no choice. So, we want everyone to participate. The first rule. The second rule is please no role playing. We don't want you to try to act like kids. The material will make it difficult for you to function. There is no need for you to try to make it worse than it really is.
And that's an important thing he says right there. It's like it's the information he's about to give is going to be that difficult for these professionals of all industries. There's an officer there, there's a lawyer in there, there's many teachers. They cover all spectrums of the professional fields that they do well where they reside. This is what we do in soccer. We present a lot of information.
Okay? And I am going to have the bias that many mainstream teachers have, which is that LD means lazy and dumb. And if you just push the kids and motivate them enough, they can learn. It's that they choose not to. Again, please just follow along with me. Don't take anything personally. We'll have a good time doing this thing. Nobody's going to get hurt, but you will get a chance to see what it's like to be a learning disabled child.
And they do. You can tell on their faces that they're all messed up. They're
What color is
embarrassed.
the booklet, Carol?
Blue.
What's it say in the front of the booklet, Kit?
F.A.T. City.
What's it stand for, Carolyn? What does it stand for, Carolyn?
I don't know.
What is it? It says at the bottom of the book. What's it stand for, Maria?
Frustration, anxiety, and tension.
Frustration, anxiety, and tension. What kind of animal's top of the page, Kara?
Bird.
Turn to the next page. What color's the first page, Jane?
Blue.
What does it say in the first page, Carol? The first page, Carol. Earth to Carol, come in, please. The first page. Earth to Carol, come in, please. Raise your hand if you thought that was funny. Yeah, everybody likes that except who? Except Carol. Anytime you as a teacher or a parent decide to use sarcasm with kids, understand that you created a victim. Now that little throwaway line that I threw at Carol, I will forget within 5 minutes, you will forget within 5 minutes.
And that is a fact. I've done that all the time. Like, I have offended so many people in my life that I do not remember, but they let me know later in life, I guess. And all the times I wake up in the middle of the night or just something haunts me from my past, it's from situations like this where I was embarrassed. And I'll remember it forever. We all do. And so we, as coaches and parents, we repeat it and we keep doing it. It makes no sense.
But it's very likely to stay with Carol for the rest of the day. Those little throwaway sarcasms we use. Jody, what color's the print in the first page?
Black.
What does it say, Lee?
Activity 1.
Was that what it says, Stephanie?
Yes.
Turn to the next page. What color's the next page, Lee?
Yellow.
What kind of animal's top of that page, Jody?
Tiger.
That's not a tiger. Carol, what kind of animal's top of that page?
It's a cat.
It's a cat. Famous story with a cat in it, Maria. Famous story with a cat in it. Famous story with a cat in it, Maria. Famous story with a cat in it. Give me one famous story with a cat in it, Maria. Okay, does anxiety affect performance? Does anxiety affect performance? Of course it does. According to this, Maria doesn't know one story with a cat in it. Give Maria a call tomorrow, she'll give you 30 of them. But in this situation, with the anxiety we've created already, with the anxiety that we've created in a short period of time, Maria's unable to get that information out. Famous story with the cat in it, Carolyn.
That's an important area to stop. As a coach, you want perfection right away, and you want things handled, and you want to give information because you want to feel like you're a super coach or whatever, and you're doing all these plays. And you have to let them process. They have to experience. They have to fail. I've learned this my own way. I teach the double dummy. Everyone knows I'm going to do it, and a lot of people have copied it throughout Arizona, and I'm glad. You know, they learn it from me, and they pass it on, and then when they success, they send me a message, hey, we did it, kind of thing. But there's a process of learning that. You have to let them do the play, fail, process, and then go through it, and then maybe by the 5th, 6th, 7th game, they got it. There's a different kind of pressure in a game environment. There's so many things they're processing. And this video changed my life as a coach, and this is why I want to get in the coaching field, and this is why I do the things that I do. And I'm not perfect. I fail all the time, but I'm able to go back and rethink things. I can apologize. I can course correct. This is information you don't get with U.S. Soccer. You don't get it. They'll just say, don't do it. They don't teach why, and this is why the education, there's a different way to get education versus some $10,000 B course. Totally is. All right, let's continue.
3 little kittens.
Famous story with the cat in it, Debbie.
Garfield.
Famous story with the cat in the car.
Incredible journey.
Famous story with the cat in Kelly. Melissa. Karen. Kim. Merritt. Okay, let's take a look at what's happened now. I accepted the answer, I don't know, from Kelly. What were the next 4 answers that I got in a row? I don't know. See, we have to really put this under a microscope and look at this. You people have been learning disabled now for 6 minutes, and many of you have quit. Not 6 years, not 16 years, the way the LD child lives, but 6 minutes. And many of you, once I began accepting the answer, I don't know, how many of you decided if he calls on me, I'm going to say I don't know? Raise your hands. Yeah. Many of you have decided if he's going to accept I don't know as an answer, I'm going to stop trying to think of a response, and I'll just say I don't know. Okay, Jody, what kind of animal is that? Top of the page again?
Cat.
Down below, what kind of animal is that? Lee?
Duck.
Stephanie, what kind of noise did a duck make?
Quack.
Famous story of the duck in it, Nancy? Famous story of the duck in it, Karen? You were ready for me, weren't you, Nancy? Famous story of the duck in it, Karen? Famous story of the duck in it, come on. Famous story with a duck in it. One famous story with a duck in it,
I
Karen.
can't think of
Famous
a
story with a
story.
duck in it. It doesn't take a lot of thought, Karen. Famous story with a duck in it. One famous story with a duck in it. Nancy knew one.
Yeah, well, Nancy's better than I am because I can't think of a
Debbie, famous story with a duck in it.
Donald.
Famous story with
It's a cartoon.
famous story with a duck in it, Karen.
Make way for Duck.
Famous story with a duck in it, Kelly.
I was going to say Donald Duck.
Oh, she took my answer. Don't you love it? Melissa, famous story with a duck in it. Turn the page. Karen, what kind of animal is that? Top of the page. I'm sorry? A pig. What kind of noise did a pig make, Kim? Famous story with a pig in it, Merritt. Famous story with a pig in it, Merritt. Famous story with a pig in it, Paula. Down below, what kind of animal is that, Car?
Swan.
What kind of noise did it make, Debbie?
I don't know.
Okay, see, what you've got to see sometime is you've got to see Fat City from where I'm standing. Because I've got 15 people looking up at me, and I say, what kind of noise does a swan make? And everybody takes a sudden interest in their shoes. They look at me. Okay, they're both on there. In other words, what happens is, after 9 minutes of a learning disability, you people have already bought into one of the credos that controls the life of the LD child, which is this. If I can't see the teacher can't see me.
Important thing to pay attention to. If you on the sideline, a spectator, another parent, and you see a poor child getting destroyed on the sideline, and now they're always looking down, they're trying to avoid ever looking at the sideline or whatever it may be, it's a problem. There's something major that it's so incredible. I see it all the time. All the time. Every weekend I see it. And these parents keep going back to the same situation. And when we finish the video, I'm not showing you the whole thing, but go to the link and watch it. It's just, how difficult can this be? It's the Fat City workshop. Frustration, anxiety, and tension. That's what we do. We create fat problems on the soccer field, everywhere, but soccer, all the time. It's so sad to see so many people, and you wonder why so many kids quit soccer by the time they get high school, because they're removing themselves from that environment into another one. Not saying it won't come back to them, but they want to get out to something different. Of course they do. Of course they do. They should show this video to everybody, all the parents and coaches every year until versus their other.
And so what you do is you look away, because we all know that it is the human reaction to anxiety. The first human reaction to anxiety is to look away from the source of the anxiety. And yet, what's the first thing we say to kids when we yell at them? You look at me while I'm yelling at you. You look at me while I'm spoiling your life. There are so many things we do as parents and teachers that don't make any sense. How many people here insist that kids look at them when we yell at them? I do all the time. And it makes absolutely no sense, and it's contrary to everything we know about the human reaction to anxiety. Okay? Turn the page, top of the page, Karen. What kind of animal is that?
Oh, a horse.
What kind of noise did it make, Debbie?
Nay.
Famous story with a horse in a car.
Black Stallion.
Famous story with a horse in it, Kelly.
Black Beauty.
Melissa, famous story with a horse in it.
They took both.
They took both my answers. Karen, famous story with a horse in it. Kim, famous story with a horse in it. Come on.
Black Beauty.
Famous story with a horse in it. Merritt.
Black Beauty.
What kind of animals down below, bottom of the page, Kelly?
A camel.
Okay, just keep the books right where they are. Let's talk for a second. What about the pace of the class? Too what? Too what? Too fast. Okay, now this is important to understand as a mainstream teacher particularly. Learning disabled kids have a difficult time processing the language. As a result of that, if I ask a group, a mainstream classroom, 4th grade class with some learning disabled children and some non-disabled children, and I say, would you please tell me who was the first president of the United States? The non-LD children are processing an answer. The learning disabled children have to process what? The question. So in effect, they have twice.
Yeah, they have twice the processing load. So I'm going to stop it there. It's worth watching. If you have any love for your child or your players, you watch the whole thing. He has a ton of examples. He puts this environment that majority of them become learning disabled, and they can't function, they can't think. So we talk fast. I mean, does it make sense that we bring a bunch of coaches with accents, hardcore accents into our country to teach our kids how to play soccer? No, not if we have to process their dang language. We have many problems, and the one thing we do as coaches is we talk fast to sound like we know what we're talking about, versus instead of trying to sound intelligent and speak very fast to show how big time we are because we can process information, how about we slow down and manage it? You got to manage the player's development. Coaches can do this. Parents can do it. You can manage it. How am I managing my son? I'm managing him through stats. Speaking of which, I got to show you his updated stats. So here's Jack's stats I updated. It highlighted in yellow for the ones watching me on YouTube. It's where he is. Those are his top performances. Whether it's his passing forward, backwards. I'll even put if he's failing, this is worth failure. I'm gonna put that too. He needs to look at, this is how I can manage my son, and I keep adding to it. And I can reward. In different ways, and I can really analyze, and I can have a conversation with my son and tell my son, I'm like, hey, 75% of the time, or your playing time right now is 75% of the time. It used to be 50, and now it's 75% of the time he's playing. And the last 3 games he's played the entire game, because where he's at Tuzos, they don't mess around. They want to win, and that's another discussion. But they want to compete, but they reward you for playing well. You get a play, and if you're not playing well, they'll pull you out, regardless of who you are. And I like that about that program, especially for my son, where he's at in his development. It's a good situation. So this is how you can manage your child, and I keep adding to it. There's so many different things I add to it. So I have it where I'm adding loss of dribbling. I broke it down first and second half so I can see if he's doing if his fitness is a problem, because if his fitness is high, he'll actually receive the ball, get a lot of touches on the ball. There's so many ways to manage your player, your son, your daughter. You have real opportunities. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think it's beneficial. Go to the link, watch the entirety of that YouTube video with Dr. Lavoie. If you're willing to do that, then it shows you care about increasing your knowledge as a coach. It shows that you care as a parent. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And I've watched it 3-4 times because I'm trying to retain the information and remember what my job is. And there's a lot of there's coaching and parent opportunities of learning where you actually can use their his belief system to help you talk to your child and do things. But you need understanding what we're doing to our game, what we're doing to our kids, and it's important. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys on Monday.